Welcome to World Alert Updates. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. The Caribbean Sea was a sheet of black glass just after 200 hours, October 3, 2025. The moon was hidden, the darkness absolute. Below, the USS Jimmy Carter, a Seawolf-class nuclear submarine, glided silently. On board, tension was thick. Every crew member knew their role in Operation Neptune's Trident. Their target, the Serpiente de Acero, a narco-submarine of unprecedented scale, carrying a cargo that could destabilize economies. The Carter had tracked its route for days, using satellite data, human intelligence, and sonar. On the surface, the USS Arleigh Burke, a guided missile destroyer, maintained electronic silence, ready to strike. Navy SEALs aboard the destroyer made final checks, preparing to board a hostile vessel in the dead of night. In the submarine sonar room, a young technician leaned in, filtering ocean noise, searching for a specific acoustic signature. Suddenly, he heard it, a faint, rhythmic thrum. Sonar contact, bearing 0905, designate Sierra 1. I think we have him. The hunt was over. The ambush was about to begin. The silent predator had found its prey. The operation was months in the making, and now, every second counted. The destroyer and submarine, unseen and unheard, closed in on their target. The world's most powerful navy was about to face a new kind of enemy. The darkness hid both hunter and hunted, but the balance was about to shift. The crew braced for action, knowing the next moments could change everything. The sea, calm and black, waited for the storm to break. The first move belonged to the Navy. The game was on. The Serpiente de Acero was a marvel of illicit engineering. Over 150 feet long, riding just below the waves, nearly invisible to radar. Painted dull gray, it blended with the night sea, a ghost ship built for one purpose: to move billions in drugs undetected. Tonight, it carried a $7 billion cargo: cocaine, fentanyl, and synthetic opioids, enough to fuel chaos across continents. This was no ordinary smuggling boat. It was a fortress, crewed by 30 hardened mercenaries with military-grade weapons. The cartel had built its own navy, daring the world to stop them. Hostages, innocent maritime workers and civilians, were held as human shields, complicating any assault. The vessel was rigged with explosives, ready to be scuttled at the first sign of capture. The cartel's plan was brutal: use hostages to deter attack, fight to the death if boarded, and destroy the evidence if all else failed. The ship was a floating powder keg. Wealth, firepower, and desperation fused together. The Navy faced not just smugglers, but a rogue state at sea. Every move had to be calculated. One mistake could mean disaster. The stakes were global, the risks personal. The Serpiente de Acero was both prize and trap. The Navy's challenge: take it intact, save the hostages, and cripple the cartel's ambitions. The world was watching, even if it didn't know it yet. The next hours would decide the fate of billions in drugs and dozens of lives. The fortress sailed on, unaware that its final voyage had begun. The balance of power on the high seas was about to be tested. The showdown was inevitable. With the Serpiente de Acero located, the USS Arleigh Burke moved to intercept, engines roaring to life. Searchlights pinned the narco sub in their glare. Vessel Sierra 1, this is the United States Navy. Stop your engines and prepare to be boarded. The cartel's answer gunfire, muzzle flashes erupting from the deck. Bullets ricocheted off the destroyer's hull, a futile gesture, but a clear refusal to surrender. The cartel gunmen took defensive positions, ready for a fight. Two worlds faced off in the dark Caribbean, a modern navy and a criminal empire. The narco sub bristled with heavy weapons, machine guns, assault rifles, and possibly RPGs. The greatest threat was the unknown hidden missiles, booby traps, desperate men. The destroyer's captain weighed his options: overwhelming firepower or surgical precision. Hostages changed everything. Brute force was off the table. The standoff was tense, every second thick with danger. The Navy needed to outthink, not just outgun, their opponent. The world's most powerful navy was in a delicate dance with a cornered, desperate foe. One wrong move could trigger catastrophe. The powder keg was primed. The next move would decide everything. The Navy's strategy had to be flawless. The fate of the hostages and the mission hung in the balance. The clock was ticking. The Navy's plan was control, not chaos. From the Arleigh Burke, drones lifted into the night, jamming the cartel's communications and isolating the Serpiente de Acero. Radios went dead. The crew was cut off and blind. Next, psychological warfare. The destroyer broadcast messages in Spanish, promising fair treatment to those who surrendered. Disorienting sounds from a long-range acoustic device sowed confusion and doubt. Your leaders have abandoned you. Lay down your arms. You do not have to die for them. While the cartel crew was distracted, 2 Seahawk helicopters launched, one armed escort, one carrying Navy SEALs. They circled wide, staying out of missile range, using the chaos as cover. The SEALs prepared for a stealth insertion, masked by noise and misdirection. Below, the USS Jimmy Carter maneuvered directly beneath the narco sub, a risky but necessary move. Combat divers deployed, attaching themselves to the hull, ready to prevent any scuttling attempt. The trap was set. The cartel was surrounded, isolated, and outmaneuvered. Every element of the Navy's plan worked in concert: technology, psychology, and stealth. The cartel's fortress was now a cage. The Navy's advantage was total, but the danger was far from over. The next phase would be the most dangerous. The SEALs were ready to strike. The operation's success depended on perfect timing. The final act was about to begin. The signal was given. The SEALs rappelled from the hovering Seahawk, hitting the water and swimming for the narco sub's deck. Simultaneously, divers below detonated charges, disabling the ship's rudder and propellers. The Serpiente de Acero was dead in the water. SEALs reached the deck, taking out sentries with suppressed weapons. Flashbangs erupted, disorienting the cartel gunmen. The SEALs, equipped with night vision, moved with lethal precision. The firefight was brief and one-sided. The team split. One element provided cover, the other moved to breach below deck. Their mission: reach the hostages before the cartel could react. Every second counted. The breach was successful, but the most dangerous part was still ahead. The fight for the hostages had begun. Inside, the Serpiente de Acero was a claustrophobic maze. Narrow corridors, dim lights, the air thick with fear. The SEALs advanced in tight formation, clearing compartments methodically. Evidence of the gunmen was everywhere, but the enemy had fallen back, preparing for a last stand. The main cargo hold was stacked with billions in drugs, a mountain of poison. The SEALs scanned for threats, knowing the stacks provided perfect cover. Suddenly, gunfire erupted from behind the cocaine bricks. The lead SEAL's shield absorbed the burst. The team returned fire, using thermal grenades to reveal hidden gunmen. The firefight was brutal but brief. The SEALs' training and technology prevailed. The path was clear, but the hostages were still in grave danger. The team pressed on, deeper into the labyrinth. Every corner could be a trap. The final confrontation was near. The last cartel gunmen barricaded themselves with the hostages, threatening to kill them if the SEALs advanced. Negotiation began, calm voices against desperate shouts. Inside, terrified civilians huddled on the floor, captors growing more desperate by the second. A direct assault was too risky. A SEAL placed a breaching charge beside the door. Another slipped a fiber optic camera under to relay positions. The charge detonated, cutting a hole in the wall. Flashbangs exploded. The SEALs stormed in. In seconds, the gunmen were neutralized. The hostages were safe. The room fell silent, broken only by sobs of relief. The human cost had been averted. The mission's most critical moment was over. The nightmare was ending. With the hostages safe and the vessel secured, the final act began. Civilians were airlifted to safety. Medical teams waited. As dawn broke, the scale of the operation was clear. The cartel's flagship crippled, its crew captured or dead, its cargo seized. The decision was made: no towing. The risk of booby traps was too high. Demolition teams placed charges. From a safe distance, the Navy watched as the Serpiente de Acero exploded and sank. Billions in drugs vanished beneath the waves. The cartel's prestige and power suffered a devastating blow. The world took notice. The rules of the game had changed. The open seas would no longer be a safe haven for criminal empires. The Navy had sent a message: overwhelming force would meet any challenge to the rule of law. An empire built on drugs watched its flagship disappear into the deep. The true victory was quieter. Before the ship sank, intelligence teams recovered laptops, phones, and encrypted drives, the digital keys to the cartel's empire. Captured gunmen facing life in prison began to talk, revealing routes, contacts, and secrets. The data was a goldmine, leading to global raids, asset seizures, and arrests. The operation became a blueprint for fighting transnational crime. Military force and intelligence, combined, had dismantled a criminal empire. The Serpiente de Acero was gone, but its secrets would haunt the cartel for years. The war had only just begun.